Chapter 4 has 3 basic concepts. One of them is these charts. This is what goes with question number 1. Okay, question number 1 has 2 columns already filled in, and you have to fill in the other 2 columns. All right, this is the number of successes. Say you've tried something 4 times. If you try it 4 times, you might have 0 successes, or 1 success, or 2 successes, or 3 successes, or 4 successes. And the second column is the probability of success. Okay, so a whole bunch of people who try this are going to have 1 success when they do it, like 40% of the time. And only 10% of the people are going to have 4 successes. Third column, it says to take the first 2 columns and multiply them together. All right, then you add all those up. 0.4 plus 0.4 plus 0.3 plus 0.4, that's 1.5. That's the mean. Okay, a whole bunch of people try this thing 4 times. The average number of successes people are going to have is 1.5. So if it's you got to pull marbles out of a jar, a whole bunch of people, after they pulled out their 4 marbles, a whole bunch of people are only going to have 1 blue one, whereas some people might even have 4 blue ones. But the average number of blue ones anyone would have would be 1.5. This is, I just wrote mean. But there's this little U-like looking thing. That's a Greek letter mu, and so it's really an M, but it looks more like a U. It stands for the mean, the same thing as X bar stands for the mean. Fourth column, it says I'm supposed to subtract the first column minus the mean. Okay, so 0 minus 1.5. Negative 1.5 squared, and then multiply times the second column, 0.2. So negative 1.5 times negative 1.5 is positive 2.25, and then times 0.2 is 0.45. Second column. 1 minus the mean, so negative 1.5 squared, or negative 0.5 squared times column 2, 0.4. So negative 0.5 times negative 0.5 is positive 0.25, and then times 0.4, that's 0.1. And then I go on down, this will be 0.5 squared times 0.2, that's 0.05. Three minus 1.5. 1.5 squared times 0.1 is 0.225. And 4 minus 1.5 is 2.5 squared is 6.25 times 0.1 is 0.625. You add up all of this, that's 1.45. Okay. 1.45 is the variance. And we need the standard deviation. So I take the square root of that, and I get 1.2. So the mean, if we all do this little experiment where we pull some marbles out of a jar, the average number of marbles you're going to get is 1.5, but we're not all going to have 1.5. There's going to be some standard deviation in that, some sort of bell curve, and the standard deviation is 1.2. That's what this is trying to say. Okay, now the problems in section 4.1, the first four problems, this is problem number 1 of the homework. The first four problems are all, this is what you got to do. You got to fill in the chart. The thing is that if column number 2 does not add up to 1, 0.2, 0.4, 0.2, 0.1, 0.1, that adds up to 1. That counts for 100% of the probability. In problem number 2 on the homework, column 2 does not add up to 1. It adds up to more than 1. Column 3 does not add up to 1. So actually on number 2 and number 3, you would just write not a probability distribution. Okay.